Hi, welcome back to Waxing On. It's Monday, and today we're looking at another one of my firsts. And today it's my first Delbert McClinton album. Second Wind. Let's see the date on this one here. 1978. Now, Delbert had been around for a long time. Back in the early 60s. He was touring England with a group. He was playing backup, playing harmonica. One of the opening acts they had was the Beatles. And there's a story going around. He says it's kind of been blown out of proportion, but I mean, even back in those days, when he was playing harmonica, people came up and wanted to have lessons. Lennon was one of the fellows that got a lesson from Delbert McClinton. Next thing you know, Lennon playing harmonica on Love Me Do. So that's how far back this guy goes. And he was doing a lot of solo work around the time of this album, 1978, but he never really got the attention he should have. And I think it's the music. I mean, when you listen to it, he's got a brass section and a horn section backing him up. He's playing harmonica. He's doing a music that's very hard to classify. Remember back in these days, we were going to record stores, and it was either rock, folk, country, blues, or classical, and soundtrack. So we had the 6 different categories that they filed records under. It was hard to pinpoint what this was. It really wasn't country. It wasn't rock. Was it blues? Not really. I mean, not blues like when you think of like Lightning Hopkins, Howlin' Wolf, Willie Dixon, John Mayall even. It didn't fit into any of those. What I like to call this is like Texas Roadhouse music. It's good time music, it's lively, it's energetic, it's got great horns in it. I mean, when I first heard him, it was from the Blues Brothers, and the Blues Brothers had the same kind of setup with their horn section and the kind of music they were playing. Now, I know people scoff at the Blues Brothers, say, oh, but not even real musicians, they were doing this. I'll tell you, they had one of the best backup bands with some of the best players in our generation here. I mean, we had Duck Dunn on bass guitar, Steve Cropper on lead guitar, 2 guys from Booker T and the MGs. We had Alan Rubin, a great lead trumpet player in there. Tom Malone, I mean, who hasn't he played with? Lou Marini from Blood, Sweat, and Tears. He's in there playing. Lots and lots of great players that had great reputations that were backing up Belushi and Aykroyd. And their set list was just great, especially Briefcase Full of Blues, first album, did a lot of blues-oriented music. And that's where I first heard a Delbert McClinton tune, and it was B-Movie. Now, the reason why I bought this one, well, it was the only one I could find, firstly because where I'm up in Canada, this really wasn't somebody that was getting a lot of airplay. It wasn't someone that was well known. I mean, I was lucky to even find an album and not have to special order one. Plus, B-Movie was one of the lead tracks on it. Now, there's the other problem. This one's on Capricorn Records, so not really a big label back in the 70s up in my area. So you didn't really see a lot of this material. I'm just going to give you a rundown of the songs, firstly. We got B-Movie. And again, if you're familiar with Briefcase Full of Blues, you're well familiar with that. That one's written by McClinton. So I'm just going to give you a rundown because there's a good group of artists writing as well. We've got Isn't That So by Jesse Winchester. We've talked about him before, a great folk artist. So you see, we're kind of mixing things together. Then we move up to Taj Mahal. Take It Easy, Delbert McClinton. Spoonful by Willie Dixon. So we're going from folk, we're going to country, we're going to originals by Delbert. I mean, it was a real mix of music, and that's what made it hard to classify. He was hard to package, hard to promote, hard to sell because they just didn't know where to put him. Side 2, we got It Ain't What You Eat, but The Way How You Chew It, written by Delbert. Sick and Tired by Delbert. Another one, Maybe Someday Baby. Johnny Cash's Big River. We're back in the country, man. And The Lovin'est Man by Delbert McClinton. So quite a few of McClinton tunes in here. A few extra covers by a very diverse group. And I mean, Delbert was a great singer, great harmonica player, great performer, but also wrote some very catchy tunes. He had a way of turning a phrase. I mean, it was really interesting. And when you hear his stuff, it's hard not to want to hear more. On here, who's playing with him? We've got Delbert on vocals and harmonica, Louis Stevens on organ and clavinet, Barry Beckett on piano, Jimmy Johnson, electric guitar, electric basses, David Hood, Roger Hawkins on drums. We've got Johnny Sandling and Billy Sanders on electric guitar and percussion, Bobby Hull. We've also got the Muscle Shoals horn section. So there's a great group here. Harrison Calloway trumpet, Ronnie Eads on baritone sax, Harvey Thompson on tenor sax, Dennis Good trombone, Robert Harwell on tenor sax. It was great having the horn section in there, which was another reason I love this, of course, being a trumpet player and having heard these tunes done by the Blues Brothers. The fact he was playing with a horn section in there really just set it off. Now, you want to give a listen to this? That's the tough part. I looked online, streaming networks do not have it. YouTube doesn't have the full album. You might get some clips from it here and there, but not going to get it on YouTube. What about hard copies, you say? Well, sure, let's check that out. In Canada, Amazon.ca has this in connection with another album put together as a twofer, but it's less than $87. Now, you say, boy, $87, that's ridiculous. That's cheap, man. You go over to Amazon.com, this album, the vinyl print, listing in US dollars for $1,008. I mean, it's just out of price. And maybe because it was a smaller label and it's just hard to find, excuse me, but, I mean, that's not really fair. So, interested in checking out Delbert McClinton, I'll give you another album. One of my favorites, it's probably my favorite album of his, back, and again, this was when he was really at his peak and really performing. Never Been Rocked Enough. Check it out. It is on the streaming networks. Excellent. Some guest artists like Tom Petty and Bonnie Raitt. There's some great stuff in there, but it was really one of my favorite albums and well worth taking a look at. Now, while I say, this one, isn't available on there, there are lots of things available. If you go on the streaming networks, you find older albums. But if you go on YouTube, you can find some of the older clips. And one of the first places I really got a chance to see him was on Austin City Limits. He used to do that show occasionally. And that was a great program, introduced me to a lot of great musicians, but it was the kind of music they were presenting. Things that were kind of regional. It was that Texas area. It was the style of music he had that fit right in with their format. But if you check out old Austin City Limits or some of the older clips on YouTube, you'll see some great performances by Delbert. So that's it for today. My first Delbert McClinton album. Here we go, Second Wind. We'll see you on Wednesday back with Classic Rock. Till then, everybody take care. Stay safe. Thanks for stopping by.